Welcome into the pre-Super Bowl edition of Under the Bus. Three old guys who've been in a few buses in our day, extolling the virtues of sport, but also throwing a lot of sports people under the bus. I'm Bob Stevens from ESPN SportsCenter's Golden Days, joined by Curry Kirkpatrick of Sports Illustrated's Golden Days, and Hall of Fame coach Rich Basirico from basketball's Golden Days, although actually from this last week as well. We'll get him to tell his NBA story here in just a moment. We got to start with the Super Bowl, though. CBS used 11 cameras to telecast the very first Super Bowl. You guys both remember that. So do I. You know what? They got 20 cameras inside the pylons in the end zone this week. 165 cameras in all. And maybe a couple of them probably trained on you-know-who.
How many on Taylor? What's the percentage? Do we know?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
100.
I'm going to hit you with some over-unders in a little bit, but I don't have that one.
I mean, I can't remember a Super Bowl that there's been less big, controversial news coming out of the week prior. Everything seemed to circle around Taylor Swift. I've been reading about her all week, what she's doing, where she's going, is the Kelsey thing real? It's unbelievable.
I think it's real. I definitely think it's real. There is one thing controversial. The 49ers don't like their practice field.
Yeah, it's too soft, right?
Wow.
Too soft. Or it's not soft enough. That's the deal. It's not soft enough because it's grass over artificial turf.
Just practice. What do you want?
Yeah.
Practice.
Yeah.
Get over it,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and Goodell, Roger Goodell, the commissioner, said he had sent all his scouts and all his turf specialists and people from both teams over to they're practicing at UNLV, the university practice field. He said they'd send everybody out there, and everybody said it was okay. So he also, by the way, was asked about Taylor Swift and Kelsey. And he was asked if it was scripted. Did he think it was scripted? And he said, "I'm not that good a scripter." He said that in his message, in his yearly message to the football. He was asked about Taylor.
Maybe the one, the brightest thing he said in a while.
That's true.
Well, wait a minute. You just threw the commissioner of football under the bus. Nice
easy
job.
To do. I'm glad to do it, and it's easy to do.
Well, I think along with Rich. I mean, I know Rich has been a hater all these weeks, but he's finally come around to believing it's true. There are a lot of haters out there. I was amazed at how much controversy Taylor's caused. The latest thing is with environmentalists. Because she's such a clean air honk, and she got in trouble. Somebody studied her air travel. Found out that her one plane is going to travel almost 20,000 miles from Tokyo to Vegas and release 200,000 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions, which is 14 times the regular household releases in a year. So, environmentalists got all over her, and then
How is she supposed to get home? How is she supposed to fly home for Japan? Was she supposed to walk? I mean,
it just came out this morning. She has her lawyers are suing this college kid who is tracking all her miles. He does this with all celebrities, apparently. And now she's going to sue to stop him from doing that because she says it's endangering her and her family and all this stuff. It's
tell the
wonderful.
kid to get a life. I mean, doesn't he study his college classes? He's got to spend time doing that.
She's such a target from everybody. And I think half of America loves her, and half, the right wing, the MAGA crowd, they hate her. Did you see that that idiot that just stopped running for president, Vivek Ramaswamy? He came out and he called the union artificially, culturally pretend propped up couple. And of course, the rumor, the controversy is that the Pentagon, in fact, the Pentagon had to come out and release a statement that they weren't behind a conspiracy for the Chiefs to win and have Taylor and Kelsey come on the field and endorse Biden. That's the MAGA right for you. So I don't know.
Oh, man.
So let's get into the more important over and unders on this thing. What's the over under? The over under is 5.5 on how many times Taylor will be shown during the game,
Over.
you know, in
Over.
whatever
I'm
box
way
is in.
over.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
way
I
over.
think I'm taking the over
Although,
on that.
well, I'm way over. Although all these people that complain she's on air so much, somebody did a study, another study that I'm studying up on Taylor studies. I think it was the New York Times. I think it was the New York Times. They found out that she's been on average on screen 32 seconds a game. Only 32 seconds. And all these people bitch and moan, oh, they're showing her too much.
We
Come on.
see what's his name?
32
Coach's
seconds.
mustache. We see his frozen mustache more than that, don't we?
Who's that? Oh,
We
Andy.
see coach, the
Andy,
Chiefs coach
Andy Reid.
and his
Yeah.
frozen mustache more than that.
But I'm going
Uh,
way over, and I'm going way over in 5.5.
Me
Aren't you,
too.
Rich?
Me too. I'm going way
Yeah.
over. Sure.
Yeah. Chances Travis Kelce proposes 20-1 odds.
What's the odds of
No.
that one?
No,
20 to
that's
1.
that's not happening.
I don't think that's happening, and I don't think they're going to endorse Biden on the field either. I don't think is that a prop bet, Bob? Is that a prop?
That's a prop. Here's
Is it
another
really?
one. How long will it take Reba to sing the national anthem? The over-under is 90.5 seconds.
I'm going to say over.
Think
Over.
longer?
I think she'll sing along because she'll stretch it out a
Okay.
little bit. The prop bets for the Super Bowl are off the charts. It's amazing what's the color of the Gatorade to be thrown on the coach. What color is Taylor going to be wearing to the game?
Well, I'm going to
It's-
bet red on that. I'm going to take red on that one.
All right.
I mean, she's always been red. She's been. Meanwhile, Kelsey's mom, Donna. You know, the Kelsey boy's mom, Donna, who's in more commercials than Taylor Swift, for God's sake. She changed her Facebook cover photo to include Taylor.
Wow.
So this sounds like a big deal to me. And
Sounds like it's serious, yeah.
Kelsey,
How about a legitimate bet? The two tight ends, Kelsey and Kittle, who catches more passes and scores more touchdowns and more yards, whatever. Who has a better game?
I
What do you
think
think?
Kelsey.
they might be. Bob, you were right last week. These might be the two best tight ends in football, and certainly they're two of the best in history, I think. And some people are calling this the tight end bowl. I mean, that's how good Kittle is. And he's as much a character as Kelsey. I mean, he's a crazy man, Kittle.
He really is. He just has a quieter girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, they asked Kelsey the other day, Taylor's always puts these little Easter eggs, hints of her life in her songs and her song lyrics. And I thought it was interesting. They asked Kelsey the other day about his playing during the mid-season, his injuries. And he said, he said his injuries put him in a darker room, if you know what I mean. Well, all us Swifties know what I mean and know what he means, because there's a lyric from a Taylor Swift song 10 years ago, and it goes, "One look, dark room meant for you." And the song title is "You Are in Love." I can't make this up. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. This happens. This happens.
But how do you know all this stuff, Curry? How much research?
I'm a Taylor guy. I'm a Swiftie. And much like Roger Goodell, he said his whole family was Swifties. He's got twin daughters. Who are 22 years old. And, they're all Swifties.
We need to get you a Swiftie t-shirt. I'm going to have to work on it.
There you go.
Oh, I have my content.
If Mahomes wins the game, and if Kansas City wins the game, he'll have 3 Super Bowls in his first 6 seasons. Same thing as Brady. Do we start to at least begin the talk of a new GOAT?
No, I don't think he can get 7. Even if he gets this one, he's got 4 more to go. I don't think he can get 7. He's a great player without a doubt. I don't know if he can do what Brady did.
Well, did you see what he said yesterday? They asked Mahomes about this at the press conference, and he said, "Well, that's a long way off. I hope I can play for 17 years. 7's a long way off. If I play 15 more years, ask me then, and we'll talk about it." And it was interesting to me that it sounds like he wants to play 15 years.
Yeah.
So
as long as he stays
why
healthy.
not? He looks like he's having fun.
Right.
Yeah.
But how long does Kelsey have? How many years does Kelsey have left?
And how many years does Andy Reid have? I'm not sure. there's a lot of speculation. He might retire if they win the thing. He might retire.
I believe that might happen if they win.
Yeah.
I can see him, Andy Reid, stepping
Yeah,
down.
I could see that. Yeah.
Speaking of
meanwhile,
Brady speaking of Brady and speaking of Brock Purdy, which we have not done yet, it has come out over the last week that the 49ers actually did talk to Brady and did ask him, you want to come back for this past year? And told Purdy, who, took it because he didn't have any choice. And yet he had told them, curiously, way back when they drafted him, 2022 as the last pick in the draft, there was some talk, gee, can we pick somebody else and sign Purdy as a free agent? And Purdy said, you probably won't, because I've already told another team I'll sign with them if I'm not. So
Wow.
They went ahead and picked him because they didn't want to lose him. Just some interesting little angles at this game.
I've heard that story a long time ago. Because of course, Brady, San Francisco 49ers were Brady's team as a kid growing up, and he always wanted to play for him. Yeah, but that's not
2.5 point pick is San Francisco. Chiefs getting 2.5. Were you taking?
I thought it was 1.5. It's going to
Kansas City.
Is it the 1.5?
At 2.5.
It's going to one. I thought
buy a half a point. Kansas City at 2.5 and buy a half a point.
What do you mean by half a point?
You can.
I don't know your better's language. What do you mean? Seriously?
Curry, if it's a half a point, you can buy up or down. You can buy.
Oh yeah, okay.
To get it to 3 points. So
but Bob, is it
more juice?
I got it. Is it 1.5 or 2.5, Bob?
Last I read, it was 2.5. But it
oh
might be
wow, well, that went up a whole point from what I was reading. But I like
earlier in the week.
How can you bet against Mahomes? I mean, really, if he's underdog, you can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. I like him to win the thing.
It's a quarterback-driven league, and Mahomes or Purdy, I think the choice is pretty clear.
But when you look at San Francisco's backfield and the receivers, they have McCaffrey. He's a better running back. They have better receivers. Their tight end maybe is just as good as Kelsey. Of course, Kansas City has Mahomes, but I think all the skill people, San Francisco has the best skill people.
Although I think it gets decided by who gets pressure on the other quarterback.
Well, that is so true. Yeah.
So this would be
games, right. Defense wins championships.
Can you say that again, Rich? I've never heard that. What'd you say?
Defense wins championships.
Click, click, click. Hey, did you say this would be Mahomes' fourth Super Bowl?
Third
Super Bowl. Well, that puts him only halfway to Taylor Swift also on it. I don't know if you guys watched the Grammys. Watch the Grammys Sunday night?
Yeah.
You have to watch the Grammy. I mean, she's the star of the show there. I mean, they have all these, the audience has Oprah's and Beyonce's and even Meryl Streep and Taylor sweeps in late. And what did Trevor Noah say? He said, look at her going table to table. She said, everywhere she goes, the value of the table goes up. She said, Lionel Richie becomes Lionel Wealthy. And she won her 4th Album of the Year award, which broke a tie with other people, including Frank Sinatra.
How about that?
Spectacular. And she looked spectacular. And she had a little clock choker around her neck. And it was a little clock and was set to midnight, because that's the name of her album that won her the 4th Album of the Year, Midnights.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah,
look
you
at
can't.
This information Curry gives out. It's amazing.
After next week, it's not going to matter. So pour it all out now, baby.
That's right. I got to get it out. Oh my goodness.
All right.
Oh my
goodness. All
goodness.
taking Kansas City.
Yes.
Are you? Yeah. Let me ask you one other thing, Bob. Are you guys Curb Your Enthusiasm fans? Larry David?
Not hugely, but I'm aware.
You know him. Well, he just started his 12th season Sunday night, and he was doing all the rounds to promote the thing, and he was on the Today Show. And sure enough, the women of today, Hoda and the other idiot, they asked him about Taylor and Kelsey. And Larry David, who's the absolute cynic of all time, said, I've used the S word on this show before. So I'm going to tell you, I don't give a S. He blasted it out on the Today Show. Come on, Larry. Come on.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. We're going to go to the sport that made Curry famous, college hoops. His heels beat Duke, so they couldn't handle Georgia Tech. We'll talk about all that when we continue Under the Bus. Welcome back to Under the Bus. Bob Stevens along with Curry Kirkpatrick and Hall of Fame coach Rich Basirico. Let's talk college hoops. I say we don't know anything until March, but you guys know things. Tell us what you know, Curry.
Well, I don't know much from last week. We had, this was the first time in the modern era, I think, that 8 of the top 10 teams played each other, 4 games in the same weekend. I mean, it was really amazing. It felt like a Elite 8 weekend or Final 4 weekend, among which were my Tar Heels, who you mentioned. And Bob sent me a hysterical little tweet after a little text after, North Carolina won the biggest game in the history of games against Duke. And he sent me a text that said, "Nice split for you guys this week."
I saw that.
referring to the Georgia Tech loss, which just killed me. I've been Armando Baca at the Center for the Tar Heels, has been there about 17 years. I've been up and down on this guy, but against Georgia Tech, he just didn't play. He just didn't come and play.
He didn't come to play at all. At all.
Didn't play hard, and I'm going crazy. I mean, the whole team was awful, and Georgia Tech shot the lights out. But if Baycott plays just a little, because he's the biggest and strongest guy on the court, Rich, you know that, against Georgia Tech especially.
Yeah.
But then against Duke, and I told this to somebody, I said, he's going to come out and play like he's on fire, because he always does against Duke. And sure enough, he had 25 and 10 and dominated, what's his name, Filipowski, I thought.
Well, you know what happens there is they showed, after the Georgia Tech game, coach showed the film and how lazy he was and had no effort, because films don't lie. They don't lie. You can tell kids things, do this, do that. Show it on film, black and white, and they get the message. And he must.
They also had a players only meeting, which is never good, but seemed to work this time. I thought if you watched the Duke Carolina game, and Rich, I know you were on your way to, you're going to give us your pro deal, but they went to the huddle of John Shire's huddle, a Duke huddle, and he kept telling them, keep guarding Davis, and they really did a great job on R.J. Davis. They really concentrated on him to a fault, because our guy Baycott went nuts, and this guy Ingram, our transfer from Stanford, had like 21 and 13 rebounds and hit 5 threes, because they were doubling on JR the whole game. So I thought that was a big factor too.
Well, they got to make adjustments. Duke has to make adjustments. When somebody gets the hot hand, you got to do something defensively. I mean, sometimes you don't help on people. Baycott, you got to double down on him for sure, because obviously he was having a terrific game. But the thing that really kind of drives me crazy with college basketball is officials. The fouls they call against
well, you're a coach, of course. Officials.
It's ridiculous. I mean, Purdue Northwestern game. Purdue shot 46 foul shots. Northwestern 8.
Yeah, we saw.
And then last night, I watched the Kansas State-Kansas game. The last 4 possessions of the regulation time was the foul called against Kansas. I mean, it's so obvious when the home team gets obviously the breaks with the foul call, but
Rich, that's been that way for 1,000 years.
I know,
I
understand that. I understand it totally. I just don't like it. I think for a team to shoot 46 compared to 8.
Well, I know that was outrageous. But so you saw the game last night. I was going to ask you about Kansas. Yes. Now, Kansas on the weekend. Well, wait a minute. Let me finish.
They beat Houston. I get it.
They blow out Houston and shoot 70% at home.
Right.
I mean, Houston's the best defensive team in the country. They blew them out.
Yes.
Now they come and they're going to play their rival at Kansas State. It's the second year Kansas State has beat them in overtime. Second year in a row they've done this. But Kansas State had the little kid, Tyler Perry, no relation to Tyler Perry, and he scores. Rich, the announcer
21.
said he scored 70. Yeah, he got 21 in the second half in overtime. But they said for his season, he scores 75% of his points in the second half. Have you ever had a kid like that? Like,
No.
I mean, I know high school level, and they just, I mean, that means,
What
he
makes
scored
that happen? How is he motivated so much in the second half to come out and play like that?
75% of his points, not just that game last night, all his games. I mean, it was amazing.
It's great. Well, think of this also. They pointed out, and I guess in the last 2 years, they've been in overtime 11 times. They're 11-0, Kansas State.
11-0,
That's
5 times this year. Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Oh, I know. What did you think? I'm sorry, what?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Curry.
Well, I just was going to talk about a couple of the others. You know, Tennessee just blew Kentucky out of their own building, got 103 on them. Just like you say, Rich, Kentucky's defense is a joke. And he's got to really correct that if they're going to go places, don't you think?
Yeah, and then, they had that kid come eligible to play, the 7-2 guy. He plays
My
the
guy,
first
Big
game,
Z.
and then the last game he doesn't even play at all.
What's that?
He feels he's not ready to play. It doesn't
What's
make
the
sense.
deal?
They were so excited about him being eligible. Plays
Well, his first game, he was ready to play. He got 13 in about 10 minutes.
Right.
I don't get it.
The Kentucky's lost the last 3 out of 4 games. It's their shot selection. I told you that way back, Curry. Their shot selection's atrocious. He just lets them throw it all over. And when they're hitting, and they look great. But obviously, in the last 4 games, they haven't looked great. They're on the downside for me.
I'll tell you who does.
The teams that impressed me how about South Carolina being 19-3? How about
and
that?
they finally got in the top 25. They finally got in the top. But you know who's impressive, Rich, is Bob is Purdue. I mean, they went on the road Sunday, on the road against Wisconsin, which is a really, really good team.
Yeah.
I mean, Wisconsin's got a shot at a number 1 seed. They're that good. And Purdue just handled them easily. I mean, Zach Edey's got a lot more support around him this year. I know they've lost. They've got a kid that came in from Southern Illinois, I think, named Lance Jones, and he's really athletic. He's a 6'1" guard. He had 21 against Wisconsin. They're really built to win this thing. I mean, I think it'll be a big surprise if Purdue and Connecticut aren't in the final game. That would surprise me.
I can see that happen. I can definitely see it happen. The team that's really starting to come on is Marquette. Marquette's starting to come on. They were preseason.
Yeah, they had a slump.
And then downside, but they're starting to come on. So it'll be fun to watch. And your Tar Heels should be there too, Curry. If they come to play.
They've got another trap game tonight at home against Clemson. Which gave them trouble the first time. So
I don't
worry
think
about that.
Clemson ever won in Chapel Hill. I don't think Clemson's ever won in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, no, they've won.
Oh,
they hadn't. They went about 38 years without winning, but they won a few years ago. Purdue. I just think it's Purdue's championship to lose. Of course, last year they did lose it. They've lost the last 2 tournaments to St. Peter's and Farley Dickinson, right? 16th seed. As long as they don't play a team from New Jersey, they'll be fine.
I think they get to the Final Four. I don't think they win it. I think Connecticut has a chance to win it again. I really do. And obviously Houston with their defense could be there too, right? Don't you mean Houston had an off game against Kansas? But
there'll be somebody get in there that we don't have any idea about. That's going to happen.
James Madison.
How about your boy Rick Pitino, Rich, after Connecticut beat St. John's in the Garden the other night? I watched the game, and they played Connecticut really tough until about 5 minutes into the second half.
Right.
And then Connecticut just blew them out. And after the game, Pitino gave the quickest handshake in the history of handshakes to Hurley, Dan Hurley. I mean, he passed him by. And he was so embarrassed afterward. He had this great Madison Square Garden crowd, and St. John's is going to be the darling of New York, and blah, blah, blah. And Pitino starts in, and he starts whining about the NCAA, about the NIL, how, I can't build a culture. I can't build a program with this transfer portal. And I have 5 fifth-year guys, and they're all going to be gone now, and I have to start over, and blah, blah, blah.
Does.
Then but then he goes after the NCAA Enforcement Committee, which of course is on his ass all the time. He goes after them and it has nothing to do with the game. He just wants to rant. This guy.
Well, they always talk about him, how he does in his programs at Louisville and Kentucky and Providence. The second year is when you're going to see the big difference of his players. Well, the second year, those guys are going to be gone. He's right. He's going to start all over again.
That's what he was bitching about. He said, every place I go, our first year isn't that good, and then we go.
Yeah.
And he said, I can't do this year. All my guys are going to be good. I mean, Rich Pitino, get off it. Come on. Go back.
We can throw him under the bus. It's the 6th of February, and you guys are already making Final Four predictions. So I might throw you guys under the bus for all of that. But how about this? How about our coach of the year? Forget your Patinos. Forget all these other guys. How about the coach at LSU Shreveport? All right. They're an NAIA school. The athletic director asks the men's basketball coach, Kyle Blankenship, at the start of the season, because he loses his women's coach 2 weeks before the season starts. So the AD goes to the men's coach and he says, the schedules match up where there's only one game where you both play in different places. Can you coach the women too? And the men. Nobody's ever asked to do that anywhere. Well, Kyle Blankenship, who's been around a little while, his wife convinces him to coach the team, both teams. The men are right now 16-5, 11-4 in their conference. The women are 19-2. They're 15-0, and they're leading their conference. There's your coach of the year. Coach of forever. Rich, have you ever coached the men's and women's team?
I think he did.
I did it 1 year, and after I did it 1 year, I said I'd never do it again. It's hard. It's hard to go to 2 different practices and be totally, up, motivated to coach. And then when you coach the girls' game, win or lose, you're thinking about the game. Then you got to go in the locker room and talk to the guys, getting ready to play. It's very hard, very, very hard. Like I said, I did it 1 year, and I had great girls. I loved the girls' team; they were terrific. But I probably had one.
You at least got them in the same night, though. Imagine having to go.
Same night. We played back to back. Played back to back.
But imagine every other day having a game. You don't have to do too many practices because you've always got a game, one or the other.
Right.
That's got to be crazy.
I can't. He is coach of the year in my book for doing that.
Rich, what's the difference in coaching men and women? You did it on the high school level, but are you a different character to them? Or are you the same guy? You yell and scream. What's the deal?
I think by fault I'm a different character with the girls. You're not as hard. I should be not as hard on the girls as you are the guys. But honestly, this girl named Allison Graves, she was terrific. And she would stay after practice and say, Coach, can you work with me with my shot and so forth? The guys, when the practice was over, they say, see you, Coach, we're out of here. She would stay. Girls are very coachable. They're very, very coachable. Not that guys aren't, but girls, but I changed my personality a little bit, I guess.
All right.
Say. I don't know if that was the right thing to do, but I did do it.
Okay, now you've got to keep what it was you did, because it's all there for just a second. The girl comes to you and says, I want you to work with me. What'd you say?
I said, sure.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. Hey, we're going to go back. We're going to reset, get everything all straight. We're going to come right back, and we're going to talk about Rich's most recent NBA experience. We got a lot else to talk about with the NBA, and we'll do all that right after this Under the Bus. We welcome you back to Under the Bus. Bob Stevens, along with Rich Basirico and Curry Kirkpatrick, cleaned things up during the break there. Welcome back. The favorite phrase of the new Chargers head coach, who's luckier than Jim Harbaugh? Maybe Doc Rivers. He walks into Milwaukee, he wins one game, and he gets to coach the All-Star team. Not bad.
But he doesn't want to coach.
No, he's embarrassed.
He doesn't want to coach.
He's embarrassed by the whole deal.
Yeah, he is.
It's a stupid rule. First of all, the reason he's doing this is they have a rule that you can't coach the All-Star game 2 years in a row, or else the Celtics coach would be coaching the All-Star game. That's why the Milwaukee guy went to the next team in line, and that's the Bucks, and they fired their coach, of course. So Doc took over one game in. Rich, tell us about your NBA experience this weekend.
So my daughter and I took my grandson to Atlanta to watch Golden State Warriors against the Hawks, and he's a huge Curry fan. And we sort of
Curry,
you,
Curry, or the other Curry?
The other Curry. Okay. He's a fan of you too, but the other Curry. And we just saw an unbelievable game. Went in over. It was tied after the second quarter, halftime. That third quarter, obviously fourth quarter, because it went in overtime. Here's the amazing stat. Well, first of all, Curry scored 60, his second highest points for him. 62 is his most. He was 10 for 23 from the three-point line. But both teams attempted 99 three-pointers. 99 between the two teams. 99. They made 32, which isn't a great percentage. But Curry did, and Trae Young was 7 for 11 from the three-point line. He had 35. So 60 and 35 by the two superstars in either team. But it was a fun game. He was thrilled. We just had a blast. We had a wonderful time. Watching. I'm not a big NBA fan. My Knicks, I have to throw out the Knicks with my boys in New York. They've won 9 straight games. I know Curry doesn't like my Knicks, but they've come a long way.
Whoa, they win 9 straight, and then they can't beat the Lakers without Davis.
Well,
I mean, Lakers aren't even a playoff team.
Well,
and they lose.
How about the Lakers beat Celtics without Davis and LeBron? 2 of those guys out, and they beat Celtics, which is probably the best team in the East. But the game was wonderful. Watching the NBA in person is a whole different ball game than watching it on TV. And to see Curry play in person he's amazing. I mean, he's constantly in motion. People say, well, how does he get his shot off? He's constantly in motion. I mean, they're running plays for him, obviously, but he can get his shot off so quick. And Trae Young is, what he impressed me about him? Not is just his scoring, his passing.
Yeah,
he's a force so well. I was really impressed by both those guys. But it was a fun night. Had a good time.
Trae Young didn't make the All-Star team, and
I know, which
upset a lot of people, including myself. I'm not a big NBA guy either. But Rich, I saw where after the game, Steph Curry took off his jersey and he autographed it, and he gave it to Lindsay Lohan.
I know.
I thought he was giving it to you, but I saw it and I saw, he's going to find Rich and give him his.
He would have to go a long way to find me because I was up pretty high. But they were really good seats. They were on the court. They were good seats. But that's a great stadium. The State Farm Arena there is terrific. So if anybody wants to go see an NBA game in person, if you get to see Golden State, go for it. It was outstanding. It really was.
Was it
full?
And
shout out to the New York Knicks for my boys from New York, and Brunson, who's a stud. He's a player. He had 36 points the other night. He's averaging 27. He made the All-Star team, not as a starter, but the Knicks are going to be good. I hope so, anyway. It's been so long since it's been worth anything. Think about the last great draft pick they have. We had those texts going last night. The last good pick the Knicks had was in 1985 with Ewing. Tell me somebody since then that they've picked that's been good. It's embarrassing, to be honest with you.
But then they got Carmelo Anthony, and he was a dog.
Yeah, he was a dog.
I mean, yeah. So
I got to go back to my days when Walt Frazier played.
Well, the Knicks, the Knicks got another terrific break this week when Embiid broke his whatever he broke, and he's going to be out probably for the season, right, or at least till the playoffs.
He might be, yes.
So that makes the Knicks better in Philadelphia, doesn't it?
I think so. Yeah, for sure. But they got to catch Milwaukee and Boston. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. Time tells. Time will tell.
Bob, you're fascinated with this, right? I don't hear much of a
tell you
peep.
what, if we could just get a sponsor for the Knicks thing, we'd all be doing really well. Huh? Hey, I just got one. Unless we got a lot of other topics to get to, I got one last thing I want to just kind of throw out there. Coming up, watch it all weekend. In fact, the one golf tournament you can watch, except Pebble Beach and the majors, is this week in Phoenix, Scottsdale, the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and watch the guy who won at Pebble Beach last week, Wyndham Clark. He went to high school with one Christian McCaffrey, and he's thinking he might just wear their high school jersey when he plays the 16th hole, the famous 16th. Wow. It is navy blue, Columbia blue, and white, Valor Christian High School in suburban Denver. And if you see that, although he's also a big Niners fan, you might see the Niners jersey one day too. But Wyndham Clark's going to be
Bob, didn't Clark win the Open? Isn't Clark a U.S. Open champion? Yeah.
US
and
Open
he shot
champ.
60. He shot 60 at Pebble Beach, by the way. And then they canceled. Then they canceled the last round because of weather. But people said, "Listen, if you shoot 60, it's give him the championship."
I don't think there's too much controversy there. There's a little controversy about the 60 because they were playing lift, clean, and place. Because it was so muddy that you could pick up your ball and place it right next to where it hit and go on. So the golf purists are going crazy about that. I think the coolest thing is that he changed his putting grip. I mean, we all have played golf and we're all messing around with putting grips all the time. He changed it that week and played at Cypress Point, which is one of the coolest pieces of real estate ever. And it wasn't working for him, but he just kind of kept with it. And he got better and better. And he made over 200 feet of putts on bumpy greens at Pebble Beach and during that 60. That's just remarkable. That's fantastic.
How about my Frenchman Pavone? He finished third at Pebble Beach after winning the previous week. I mean, he must be a real player, this guy.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Comes from the French tour.
That's for sure.
I got one more.
Bob,
all right.
Well, I just want to tell Bob.
You got
Bob,
one more thing? Go ahead.
I've changed my grip and my putter many times. I still can't putt. What should I do?
Me neither.
Change your putter.
Yeah.
Forget the grip. Change your putter. I got one more thing I just want to talk about my boy Lionel Messi, who is on. Did you see this? They're on the Miami team is on a world tour, and they went to Hong Kong on the weekend, and Messi did not play. He was saying he got pain and whatever. He didn't play. The fans went berserk. I mean, and they all came to see Messi, all the Hong Kong fans, and they got so angry. They chanted Messi, Messi. Of course, they didn't get in. So then they started chanting refund, refund, refund. I'm not making this up. Refund.
No.
And then they started screaming at everybody. The Hong Kong government got involved and protested to the Miami team. Oh yeah, it was a huge deal.
Well, I was
Maybe he
worried
just
about
wanted to
Curry
watch
not
the Grammys.
What's that?
He wanted to watch Taylor in the Grammys.
There you go. Well, that's
Bob,
but I think
Bob, the Waste Management Golf Tournament, is that not true where people can shout out when a guy's getting ready to putt or
yeah, on the 16th hole they go berserk.
So it's just the one hole. It's just the one hole they can do that.
The one hole.
I think so.
The guys know it's coming, so it works. And if it's a whole crowd of people, that's not a bad thing. It's when it's one guy, who yells, "Get in a hole" or whatever, then it drives you crazy. But at 16,
well,
it's great.
I got a prediction for Rich's Knicks when they start folding, as they will do in March or whenever it happens. I would love the Knicks fans to start chanting refund, refund, refund.
Which would be a lot of money, trust me. You go to see a Knicks game, it'd be a lot of money.
A very good way to end the show. We want to thank our producer, Justin Jarrett, for Rich Basirico and Curry Kirkpatrick. Thanks for joining us. Under the Bus.
See you guys.